Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Bol. All glories to the simple devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the simple devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the simple devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Can we on? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 3, entitled Liberation from the Illusory Energy, text number 23. Sarvato Manaso Sangam Adau Sangam Cha Sadhushu Dayam Maitrim Prasaryam Cha Dayam Maitrim Prashrayam Cha Bhuteshvada Yathochitam Sarvato Manaso Sangam Adau Sangam Cha Sadhushu Dayam Maitrim Prashrayam Cha Bhuteshvastada Yathochitam Sarvato Manaso Sangam Adau Sangam Cha Sadhushu Dayam Maitrim Prashrayam Cha Bhuteshva Adha Yathochitam. Matajis. Word to word meaning Sarvata, everywhere. Manasa, of the mind. Asangam, detachment. Adau, in the beginning. Sangam, association. Cha, and. Sadhushu, with saintly persons. Dayam, mercy. Maitrim, friendship. Prashrayam, reverence. Cha, and. Bhuteshu, for all living beings. Adha, thus. Yatho uchitam, as is suitable. Translation and purport by disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Disciples of Srila Prabhupada ki jai. A sincere disciple should learn to dissociate with the mind from everything material. A sincere disciple should learn to dissociate the mind from everything material and positively cultivate association with his spiritual master and other saintly devotees. He should be merciful to those in an inferior position to him, cultivate friendship with those on an equal level, and meekly serve those in higher spiritual position. Thus, he should learn to deal properly with all living beings. Purport. Srila Madhavacharya has quoted from the Garuda Purana to demonstrate that within this universe, those who take birth as demigods, great rishis, or pious human beings are all considered santas or saintly persons. According to Bhagavad Gita, Traigunya Vishayo Veda, the Varnashram culture described in Vedic literature deals mostly with the living entities who are struggling within the three modes of material nature. The Vedic literatures teach such conditioned souls that material happiness can be achieved only through pious works. In this sense, the demigods are to be considered the most pious living entities within the three modes of material nature. The rishis or the great saintly mystics of the universe who are able to travel at will to various planets and who cultivate mystic powers are to be considered somewhat below the demigods. And those human beings on earth who perfectly execute the Vedic rituals are to be considered in the third or lowest category of santas or saintly person. But a devotee of Lord is beyond the three modes of material nature. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mam cha yo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Thus, Lord Krishna clearly says that a Vaishnava who does not fall down from the regulations of Bhakti Yoga is beyond the three modes of material nature. And Lord Krishna advises Arjuna, a Krishna Bhakta, to transcend the three material qualities of illusory creation of Maya. Nistray Gunabhav Arjuna. But in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Natat asti prithiviyam va divi dvish va puna Satvam prakriti jair muktam yad ebhi syat tribhir gunai. There is no being existing either here or among the demigods in the higher planetary system who is free from the three modes of material nature. Thus, demigods are not exempt from the pollution of three modes of material nature, whereas a pure devotee actually becomes gunatita or transcendental to the influence of Maya. Therefore, one should cultivate association of Uttamadhikari or pure devotee of Lord, as stated previously. Tasmad gurum prapadyeta jignasu shreya uttamam shabde parecha nishnatam brahmani upashrama shrayam. Therefore, any person who seriously desires real happiness must seek a bona fide spiritual master and take shelter of him by initiation. The qualification of the bona fide spiritual master is that he has realized the conclusions of the scriptures by deliberation and is able to convince others of these conclusions. Such great personalities who have taken shelter of the Supreme Godhead, leaving aside all material consideration, should be understood to be bona fide spiritual masters. On the other hand, one should avoid the association of a materialistic person, even if such a person is outwardly chanting the holy name of Krishna. Srila Rupa Goswami has advised in this respect. Krishneti yasya giritam manasendriyeta dikshasti cheta pranatibis cha bhajantam isham shushtushaya bhajan Vijnan anayam anya nindadi shunyarudam upsita sangalabhya. One may mentally offer respect to any living entity who is chanting the holy name of Krishna. But one should avoid intimate association with materialistic person, especially those attached to sex enjoyment. Tamodwaram yoshitam sangi sangam. If one associates with a sensuous person who is attached to the company of women, by such association, one will surely go to hell. But if a materialistic person approaches a pure devotee with a sincere desire to hear from him about spiritual improvements, that first-class devotee may mercifully give his association, provided the purpose of such a meeting is advancement in the devotional service of Krishna. By such association, even a materialistic person can gradually become a pure devotee of Krishna. If an advanced devotee is not able to engage a materialistic person in the devotional service of Krishna, such association is strictly forbidden. In Garud Puran it is stated, Visheshata swattameshu vinasangam namuchyate swanicheshu tu diveshu vinasangam na puryate. One cannot be liberated without association with the pure devotee of Lord, and unless one shows mercy to those in an inferior portion, one's life will be superficial. It is our practical experience in Krishna conscious movement that those who are expanding their mercy by preaching the message of Krishna are making rapid spiritual progress, and their life is filled with transcendent bliss. Those who neglect the quality of mercy, being uninterested in the missionary activities of the Krishna conscious movement, are not filled with transcendent pleasure, as described here by the word puryate. Not being filled with spiritual pleasure, surely such persons attempt to fill their lives with material pleasure through sense gratification and mental speculation, associating with women, or reading innumerable mundane novels, newspaper, news magazines, and so on. According to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the preaching activities of the Krishna conscious movement are Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam, the ever-increasing ocean of bliss. Missionary activities are based on the principle of daya, or mercy to those who are fallen. Those who are actually preaching become enlivened by associating with other preachers. This principle is called Maitri, or friendship among equals. The power to carry out such preaching activities, as well as the proper guidance for distributing Krishna's message, comes through the principle of prashrayam, or humble service at the lotus feet of spiritual authorities, such as the spiritual master. If one preaches Krishna consciousness sincerely, under the guidance of bona fide spiritual master, and in the company of fellow preachers, one is perfectly fulfilling the statement of this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, and thus he will come to the point of Sarvato Manaso Sangam, or complete detachment from illusory energy of Lord. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has stated, Lava Matra Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Hoy. By becoming attached to devotees of Lord, one will achieve all perfection in life, going back home, back to Godhead. If one neglects the order of Supreme Person Godhead by engaging in sinful life, he is certainly not merciful. One who ignores his eternal status as part and parcel of Supreme Lord, and who instead covers himself more and more with material illusions in the form of temporary designations, I am American, I am Russian, I am Indian, I am black, I am white, and so on, is certainly a killer of his own soul and cannot be considered merciful. Similarly, those who support animal slaughter by eating meat, fish, and eggs cannot be considered merciful. Sometimes the argument is given that if one does not harm others, he is perfectly religious. But because we are now in the state of ignorance, we have no idea whatsoever of the future reactions to our present activities. Ignorantly boasting that one is not harming others without an awareness of the subtle laws of nature does not make one a religious person. One becomes religious by surrendering to the laws of God as they are stated by Lord himself in the Bhagavad Gita. As long as a living entity is infatuated with his own mental speculations, which carry him away like the waves of the ocean, he cannot understand the process of devotional service to Supreme Person Godhead. Mental speculations based on our experience of variegated creations of the Lord's illusory energy are incapable of bringing us to perfect knowledge. One must give up materialistic association and make company with pure devotees of Lord, those who are engaged 24 hours a day in perfectly pleasing the Supreme Lord. One should cultivate association with those who are more advanced than oneself in devotional service. One's advancement can be measured by one's detachment from sense gratification and his ability to distribute Krishna consciousness to others. In this connection, Srila Narottam Das Thakur has said, Chadiya Vaishnava Seva Nistara Peche Keba. Who can attain salvation if he gives up the service of the Vaishnavas? By serving the lotus feet of pure devotees, one is immediately enlightened with spiritual knowledge. All of the so-called pleasures of the material world, culminating in many varieties of sexual fantasy and impersonal visions of oneself as God, becomes useless to one who has achieved the mercy of the lotus feet of pure devotee of Krishna. The entire material creation is compared to an insignificant bubble in the ocean. The material universe rests on the spiritual potency of Lord called Brahma Jyoti, just as an insignificant bubble rests on the potency of the unlimited ocean. By serving the lotus feet of pure devotee, one can enter the ocean of eternal happiness and experience his constitutional position as servant of Krishna. The mercy of Vaishnavas is unlimited, and one who has tasted that mercy becomes mad after the lotus feet of Krishna, not caring for the hallucinations of so-called material pleasures or mental speculation. The mercy of Vaishnavas is substantial and is as powerful as Krishna himself, whereas impersonal speculations and hopeless dreams of society, friendship, and love merely constitute various means by which Maya achieves the conditioned soul and keeps them in perpetual frustration. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmiritam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Snapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamsha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Parishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyanta Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pranayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaura Tushe Nama He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Leena Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastude Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Runda Vaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye निराचल निवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्यां जगन्नाथाय ते नमः। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा Everybody can understand English here? Does anybody need translation? किसी को अनुवाद का जरूरत है? हाँ, हिंदी में अनुवाद का जरूरत है? हाँ, ओके, कोई हिंदी में अनुवाद कर सकता है? Anybody to volunteer उधर बैठ के अनुवाद हिंदी में कर सकता है? हाँ, कर सकते हैं प्रभु जी? हिंदी आता है वो? हाँ, कोई हिंदी अनुवाद करने के लिए? Nobody knows हिंदी? हाँ, तो अब आता है हिंदी आपको? नहीं, ओके, कोई और है क्या? प्रोजेक्ट का नाम क्या है? हाँ, यस, आता है आपको हिंदी? हाँ, यू कैन सिट देयर एंड ट्रांसलेट। जिसको भी हिंदी चाहिए तो उधर अब ऐसा अनुवाद करना कि लोग सुनाई दे पड़े। ओके, अब जिसको हिंदी चाहिए तो उधर जा सकते हैं। ओके, so I'm feeling very happy to be back here at ISKCON New Town, and I'm feeling fortunate to get the opportunity to speak something on Srimad Bhagavatam. So I seek blessings of all wonderful devotees assembled here for Srimad Bhagavatam, so that I can speak something for my own purification. So when I was in America, this time is the festival time there, and there is a big sadhu sangha happening, and there is a special event in D-land where His Holiness Bhakti Charmara was developing community there. So some devotees had written to me that I should stay back for that festival because they are installing memorial of Bhakti Charmara Maharaj. So I wanted to stay back, but then here Brahmotsav was there, so I think I should be here. So then later on I told that we have a grand festival here at Newtown, Brahmotsav, so I have to be here. So maybe in future I will come there. So I'm feeling very excited that in just 2 days we are going to celebrate it. Brahmotsav of Shishi Nitai Gauranga Haribo. Here today we are reading from 11th Canto, 3rd chapter, Liberation from Illusory Energy. This Krishna Katha is so pleasing to heart. We say in 10th Canto of Srimad Bhagavatam in the beginning, which Prabhupada also quotes in Krishna book in the beginning, Nivritya Tarsai Upagiya Mana Bhavanshada Shrota Manobhiramat Kauttama Shloka Gunanavadat Umam Rujet Vina Pushiknath. This Krishna Katha this Bhagavatam is so nectarian. Manobirama. It gives great pleasure. And not only it's nectarian, but it's also Bhav Aushadha. It's also the medicine for Bhavrog. We are undergoing this cycle of birth and death. And just by hearing this Krishna Katha, which is a medicine, one can free from this cycle of birth and death. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada established this culture of everyday Bhagavatam class. So everyday hearing Bhagavatam class is like everyday taking medicine. We see those who are having some diseases, every day they take medicine. After a certain age in life, every day they take medicine. Sometimes they have to take medicine 3 times a day, 4 times a day, different times, and they have very strict schedule. Without fail, at particular time, they will take medicine. So without fail, in the morning, we have to take this medicine of Srimad Bhagavatam, because this medicine will free us from all diseases, and then we'll not have to take any other more medicine. And it is said, who will not be interested in taking this sweet medicine of Krishna Katha? Only one who is a killer of soul or killer of all other animals. Rest others will be very eager to hear this and take this medicine of Krishna Katha. We see in the chapter, last chapter as well, this chapter, Maharaj Nimi is very eagerly asking wonderful questions to Navayogandaras. And Navayogandaras are answering his questions. So last chapter we see a couple of questions were asked, and different Navayogandaras is answering that question. So Maharaj Nimi in this chapter, he's asking question, and he's saying, I'm very eager to drink the nectar. So please keep on speaking. This Krishna Katha is so wonderful. Though I have been hearing, but I am not completely satiated. I want to hear more and more. And he is enthusiastically asking more and more questions. And he asked very important question. He said, my dear Navayogandaras, please tell me about Maya. This Maya which bewilders everybody, including great mystics. Then Antariksh, one of the Navayogandaras, explains how living entity comes to this material world and gets covered by material body and start misidentifying with this body and try to enjoy this on bodily platform, and how he gets entangled and how this entanglement and his suffering continues. This living entity always tries to reduce his misery and increase happiness, but ends up in suffering more and more. Till how long this suffering continues? Till annihilation. At the end of annihilation, finally again all living entities go back in the body of Mahavishnu, and again there is creation. When Mahavishnu excels, again there is creation, then maintenance, again destruction. So life after life, millions of lifetimes, living entity continues to suffer. And there is no end to this suffering. Creation happens, and the living entities come back. Again, there is some maintenance arrangement, again destruction, creation, maintenance, destruction. Life after life, this suffering continues. So living entity is soul, but somehow he is separate from this body, separate from this material, this thing. But still, because of Maya, living entity identifies with body and just suffers. So after hearing this question, then King Nimi again asks next question. He said, my dear great sadhus, saintly people, please explain how even a foolish materialistic person can easily cross over this illusory energy of Supreme Lord, which is always insurmountable for those who are not self-controlled. So he's asking, oh, this Maya is very powerful, unsurmountable. So please tell, is there any way by which even foolish materialistic person also can cross over this Maya, which is very difficult to cross over for those who are not self-controlled? Then we see Sri Prabhupada, another Navayogandaras, he starts speaking. He explains how this material world continues based on sexual attraction, and how person tries to enjoy in this world and how he ends up suffering more and more. Even he may do so many pious activities so that he can go to heaven, so that he can enjoy more for a long period of time. But still in heaven also, one is not happy. Even in heaven, there is rivalry among equals and there is envy for superiors. So practically, Sri Prabhupada says that there is no happiness either in lower planetary system or middle planetary system or even higher planetary system. Wherever you go in this material world, there is suffering. There may be some coating of so-called happiness, but the real substance is actually misery only. Recently, for almost 5 weeks, I was in America, and actually you can see suffering very vividly there in a package form. Here also people are suffering in one form, and there they are suffering in another form. Those Indians who have gone there see so much anxiety. They have to work so hard, and so many visa problem anxieties. Now new government has come, so they are on so much anxiety about visa. Even those are having green card, they are in anxiety. What to speak of others, no? And things are very costly. They get big money in one sense, but even living is very, very costly. Here you can live with little money, but there you can't. So much. So there always an anxiety of either visa, job. Anytime you can be thrown away from the job, and there are always anxiety about children, how their children will be educated, all these things. So very difficult, and so many people, mostly everybody has loans, and that anxiety is there. And medical things are so costly, and even to get appointment from doctor takes months together. Here we get appointment doctor anytime. There to get appointment doctor is such a big thing. And so even basic things like this is very difficult. And even American people, those who are there, it's not that they're happy there. And most of times, actually, most of the American people, they don't have a family life. Practically, what is a stable family is unheard there. Their best company is mostly dog. And actually, really dog. Dogs are everywhere. Everywhere when people are going for walk, people are going car, always dogs are there. Even when I was in college, MIT, students bring dog in the college also, So really, so that is their best companion. And relationship are hardly stable. One time, I was seeing one 65-year-old person talking to himself. I was thinking he's talking to a phone or something. And when other person came, he started shouting at him. And then, I was wondering what happened. And then other person said, actually, he's gone crazy because loneliness and all this thing. He was in suit, boot, everything very nicely, but crazy. And therefore, talking to oneself or talking incoherently. So many problems because of loneliness. And people, actually those who are in India, those who have experience of stable family life, one cannot imagine what are the challenges of being born and brought up in unstable family life. In America, people are marrying at 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and still not happy. One marriage, second marriage, third marriage, fourth marriage, And sometimes people are so frustrated in marrying, they just live together. So these things, when you see it, really painful. These are basic things, basic family life, basic this. One won't find that. One time I was giving class. After class, one old lady, 70 years old, maybe 70 plus, she asked me a question. After class, we have question answers. She asked me that, Prabhuji, I have great guilt in my heart. How to get free from that guilt? I said, what is the guilt? She said, always I'm reminded of my boyfriend whom I had when I was 17-year-old. And then he was into drugs and how he was killed by his friends and all these things. And no, he wanted to marry me, but then I also rejected him, and how he died. And now she's 70 years old, and she was thinking, I'm having the guilty feeling of boyfriend because I said no to him when he was 17-year-old. Then I said, oh, since 17 year you did not get married? No, she said, I married. Then I said, how many times you got married? She said, more than 3 times. Then I said, already married, now you forget that 17-year boy, why? He said, it's very difficult to forget. I said, you remember 16-year-old boy, Krishna, and now you are 70 already in life, So, but sometimes, these people, because they have no understanding. So I was just thinking that how, because there is no knowledge of science of God and no science of devotional service, people are actually suffering. And they are from wealthy families, not that another lady, almost maybe she might be 60 years old. After the class, she asked the question that I am really in great trauma. Jai. Shri Shinitai Gauranga ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. I said, what happened? No. She said, I had a boyfriend, and whatever, we are living together for last 10 years. And we are supposed to get married. But, he ditched me and went away, and I didn't know what is the reason and all these things. And she had sold her home, and they had together purchased home, and they were staying, and that home was in his name, and he left, and then legally sent notice that he should vacate. So she said, I have no home now, I have nothing, no one, I am on the streets, and since we are not married also, there is no this thing. Then I was wondering, I said, you are 60 years old, you are not married? He said, no, I am married. Then I said, what about your children? They said their children are settled in Europe, they are not near, I am in America alone, And I was just thinking, here is a 60-year-old lady on the streets, and children are there in Europe. And, I said, what happened to your husband? She said, he divorced me, left, and now, so I was just thinking, she was in great trauma and great anxiety. So I was thinking, in India, we have young boys, 15-year, 20-year, 25-year boys having heartbreaks, Here, 60-year, 70-year people having, it's really, so point is that in this material world, wherever you go, there will be suffering. Forms may change, but one thing is common, that is suffering. And here Prabhupada is saying that if you want to be free from suffering, which is caused because of illusory energy of Lord, there is only one solution, and he gives that solution in previous verse. Tasmad gurum prapaddeta jikyasu shreya uttamam shabde parecha nishnatam brahmani samashayam. So, if one wants to become free from illusory energy of Lord and free from suffering born out of this all illusory energy of Lord, then one has to approach a bona fide spiritual master. And who is bona fide spiritual master? Shabde Parecha Nishna, the one who is expert in understanding purports of Vedic literature and who is firmly fixed in that understanding and living by those teachings. And Upashramashayam. Upashramashayam means one who is detached from sense gratification. One is living as per the scriptural injunctions, and one who can convince others also about that teaching, and who is detached from sense gratification. Such a person who is fixed up in service of Krishna, detached from service, he is fit to be a guru, and one should take shelter of guru by accepting initiation. So, in next verse, Prabhupada says, one should accept such spiritual master. One should learn from him the process of pure devotional service. Not only we accept spiritual master for namesake, but one should learn from him the process of pure devotional service to Krishna. And one should serve Lord faithfully, without duplicity, and thus please the Lord. And so, not only one should accept spiritual master, one should learn the science of devotional service. And one should execute that devotional service as sincerely, as faithfully as possible, without any duplicity, with a desire to please Supreme Lord Krishna. And when one endeavors in that direction, in this way, Lord is very pleased with such a person, and Lord offers himself to such a devotee. So this is last verse, and this verse, here it is said, one should withdraw one's mind from everything material. Because of being entangled in this illusory energy, mind is always absorbed by in material things. So Prabhupada is saying that one should accept spiritual master, one should learn devotional service, one should execute it without any duplicity. And he's saying one should withdraw mind from everything material and positively cultivate association with spiritual master and saintly devotees. And then deal appropriately with everybody. So, and what do you mean by deal appropriately with others? Here it is mentioned, one should be merciful to juniors, one should develop friendly relationship with equals, and one should serve superiors joyfully, happily, without envy. So if one follows this process, then one can be free from Maya. So no matter how much one is entangled in Maya, doesn't matter, whoever he may be, anytime one accepts the shelter of bona fide spiritual master, learns science of devotional service and executes faithfully, and withdraws his mind and develops wonderful relationship with Guru and sadhus and deals with everyone appropriately, one can be free from Maya. I had been to many temples. So some places I saw there were many Western brahmacharis, American brahmacharis. So one temple when I was staying, so there was one American brahmachari. He was coordinating all my preaching programs to different colleges and other things. He was very enthusiastic. He was very wonderful kirtaniya, do wonderful kirtans. And then I saw programs he had, and so many Western people were coming. Practically almost 99% Westerners. So I was really very inspired by his enthusiastic devotional service. So I asked him, because he was there with me for a couple of days, practically whole day, different programs. So then I asked him how he came to Krishna consciousness. And then he was telling how before coming to Krishna consciousness, he was a hardcore materialistic person, and how he had broken all regulatory principles. And he said, I was trying to enjoy my life, and I was in college and all this thing, but then I was so frustrated in this material life. More you try to enjoy, more one gets frustrated. And he said, I came to a point that I wanted to commit suicide. And I said, what was your age that time? He was young, 18, 20 years old that time, And he said, I was so hopeless that I was about to commit suicide. That time, fortunately, he said, I received Prabhupada's book. And when I received Prabhupada's books, I read it. And then I was inspired. Then he said, I came to temple. And when I came to temple, I met devotees. And when I met devotees were so loving, so caring, so encouraging, that my entire life got transformed. And then since I just came for a few days, and I just stayed. And then he said there was COVID. I was supposed to go back, but then COVID happened. Then he said entire COVID I stayed in temple because there was lockdown. And then I was engaged in so many services, morning till night. And because I was thoroughly engaged from morning to night, there was no time for Maya. I became free from all my bad habits, and I became so ecstatic. And when lockdown opened, he said I had no desire to leave temple. He said, And he said, then I continued. And so I saw he was very blissful and very much respected by the devotees there and community there, and so and engage in amazing preaching. So one can see that one may be from any background. This power of Krishna is so much that if one follows this process, one can become perfectly situated. Another lady I saw in another temple, she was temple commander. She was like, arranging all the services and all these things, So, and then, so I learned that she had a very terrible childhood. Actually, in America, to find people with good childhood is very rare. Sometimes we take this for granted here. So different challenges. So she had a very terrible childhood. Where in childhood she was abused. Later on she got married. Again in married life there were so many issues, and again there was so much abuse and all these things. Then she had become drug addict, drinking alcohol and drugs and all these things. Practical her life was ruined, and then she was divorced and all these things. Again she met devotees, and she started coming to temple, and then she became a first class devotee. And now she's like, taking so many responsibilities, doing so much preaching, managing temple, so many things, and very blissful. And every day morning, Mangalarti. I never saw her missing morning program, or whole morning program. Actually, one of the reasons I asked that how, because she was every day morning till, whole morning program. So I was amazed how these people are coming from very difficult backgrounds, but still this process of Krishna is so powerful that no matter what difficult, dangerous background people may come from, by this sincere practice of Krishna consciousness, one's life can be transformed and one can become blissfully situated. Another devotee, one who arranged his own Radha Swami Maharaj program in Harvard. He had a big program, and so many big professors and all were there. It was in same hall where Srila Prabhupada had spoken, and he was the host. And then there were Maharaj was there, and the professor was there. They were the main speakers. So when he started speaking, in the beginning he told his story, and when I heard the story I was shocked. So he was also telling how he was completely in his life as a young man. He was from Canada. He was very ambitious and all this thing, but then he got into bad association, and then he got into drugs, he got into alcohol, all these things. He was married, then he had divorce, and then he had so many issues, and practically he was trapped in bad association. He was completely gone case. And he said one time, one party, he went and came drunk, and when he came home, when mother was feeling so, he came in middle of the night, and in such a situation, mother looked at him and she was practically crying to see his situation. Because his marriage was finished, divorce, and he was into so many bad habits, and practically this thing. So he was sharing in the beginning of that talk, and then he said, their mother gave him advice that he should do something. He should do some yoga or something. At least physically he can become little better. So then he went for yogasana, some yoga classes he joined. And he said when he was going in yoga classes, somebody gave him Bhagavad Gita. And that, reading Prabhupada Bhagavad Gita, that ignited his interest, because he was in very desperate situation. And he was thinking, I have ruined my life and my mother is also very unhappy, and so he was thinking I should bring out some change. So he was putting his best efforts to do some yoga and become better person. Then when he got Bhagavad Gita, he was very inspired, and then he met some devotees, and then slowly, he started practicing Krishna consciousness, chanting Hare Krishna. Then he came to Harvard. He thought I should again start my, he took admission for masters in divinity in Harvard. And then in the beginning he was rejected. He did not get selected. Then because he was in touch with devotees helped him. And then later there was one devotee who was helping him in Krishna consciousness, and he was a very great scholarly devotee also, and he gave recommendation, so he got admission in Harvard. And then he was very grateful because of devotee. He was now chanting Krishna. He slowly gave up bad habits. He got into Harvard, and then because he was very keen to practice Krishna, then he came to temple, started coming to temple. There he met Radheshyam Prabhu, and then he had many questions. Radheshyam Prabhu spoke to him long hours. Then he started coming more often to temple. Then he shifted to temple. He started staying in ashram in a temple, and then started going to his Harvard college. And then later on he got internship in GV for 4 months summer, whatever. And then he was even more inspired by being there. He met Raghunath Maharaj there and so many other devotees. And again he came to Harvard, and he's in final his semester, what we say, whatever presentation, thesis, and all that. So he had arranged as a part of his studies, he had arranged this conference, yoga conference, and then he had invited Radhan Maharaj for it. That was part of his, this thing. And then he was saying how, just by being in temple and staying in ashram, how his life was transformed. And he was very, actually, he said, my name was Happy, but I was never happy. Happy Jack, He said, only when I met devotees and started practicing Krishna consciousness, actually I became happy. And then now he's preaching a lot. He's introducing so many people. He has a yoga, because he became yoga expert teacher. So he has his yoga community also, where he's teaching to thousands of yogis, thousands of people. But now he's teaching them Krishna consciousness along with all the yoga and all these things. So I was very touched by seeing how Prabhupada has given a process which really works, and how people are getting transformed. And when we see with our own eyes people's lives getting transformed, it's very hope-giving and very blissful. And so I saw in American preaching, few things are very, wherever there has been good preaching, I saw few things are common. One thing is first-class prasadam. Wherever successful preaching is there, high-class prasadam, they have Western prasad, pizza, pasta, whatever, different kinds of, so many varieties of, big, items, So when people come for programs, this prasad is really very attractive, So that is one thing I saw. Another I saw is great kirtans, long kirtans, harinams, Devotees, they do long kirtans. And for kirtan, so many people come. Like sometimes classes, people may not come, but for kirtans, hours together, people. I saw one day in New York, Ekadash, after chanting all my rounds, I was about to go to take rest, but I saw kirtan sound is there coming. I saw and from where our sound is coming, and I thought somebody is playing this thing. I looked around, there was nothing. Then I went in direction of sound, and then I saw, as I was walking, the sound was increasing more and more. And then I went, it was temple hall, and I saw it was night, around 10 o'clock or something, and temple hall was booming kirtans, very, very enthusiastic kirtans, and so many people, very ecstatic kirtans. I was just wondering, and all black, white, brown, all kinds of people, and they were absorbed. And then I saw that Achyuta Gopi, that Mataji, she was doing kirtan, and whole night kirtans, and then I saw next day morning, after morning, I saw all brahmacharis. New York has a lot of brahmacharis, and then they have, after lunch, everybody goes for Harinam. They every day go to different places in New York. Long Harinams, hours together. They have every day 3 to 8, 5 hours. They will do Harinam, or sometimes 3 to 7. So even in programs, a lot of kirtans. So people nice prasad, lot of kirtans, Harinam, street Harinam, lot of energy. They, whatever passion is there, engage it in Harinam, and also book distribution. And I saw another thing is that lots of menial services. There are no servants, so everything is done by devotees mostly. All cooking, cleaning, repairing. Like I saw in one ashram I was there, I saw brahmachari was making one loft, high ceiling, because old temples now high ceiling. So, and because number of devotees have increased, there was no space. So in brahmachari ashram they put one loft, and it was so nice loft, And I said, who made it? And then one brahmachari himself made it. He said, before coming to Krishna, I was professional, builder, construction. So he only did. So there, everything is done basically by devotees, There is no like gardening, you want to cooking, cleaning, repairing, because everything outside is very, very costly, and you can't afford to, get employees. So I saw that devotees do a lot of menial service. Even proper disciples. I saw proper, like in Boston, I saw Mukta Mandir Prabhu cleaning, jhadu, pocha, and all this in temple. He's 70 plus, maybe 75, but very humbly serving. Every day he'll go for bringing flowers for the deities, for making garland and all the things, and doing a lot of menial service. I saw New York also temple president himself, washing vessels, pots, and all this thing, So there, it doesn't matter whoever one is, proper disciple or new devotee or temple president or any just or everybody does all the menial services, and so that lots of menial service. Another thing I saw is this devotees. There may not be thousands of devotees like in India, but even small devotees are there, but they have good relationships, family atmosphere, loving association, friend relationships. So anybody comes, it's like a small, in voice we have small circle. Everybody knows everybody, and so like that. In most of the temples where I went, I saw, especially where there is a budding preaching, nice. Devotees have very good, loving relationships, So I saw that the process which Prabhupada has given is really working, and so we can see people are so grateful, especially those who have come from different background, and now after coming to Krishna they have become happy, and they really have great faith and conviction, want to share. So we can see that whoever one may be and whichever background one may be, actually if one surrenders to Krishna, one comes to Krishna, Krishna is very kind and Krishna helps. Ultimately, whatever bad habits are, they're the superficial only. We are not this body, we are neither mind, we are not this thing. These are all very superficial things. We are spiritual beings, and our relationship with Krishna, and Krishna is very loving, Krishna is very kind, and Krishna is always there to help. Similarly, spiritual master is very kind, devotees are very kind. So in that association, whoever one may be, one gets transformed. Especially we see here in this verse, here it is said, one should appropriately deal with others. And the word mentioned here is that daya. One should show daya to others. We have to be very compassionate and help others, share Krishna consciousness to others under direction of a superior Vaishnava, in association of devotee friends. And when one does that, one can experience great joy. Anandam buddhivartanam. Here it is said, there is great happiness in sharing Krishna consciousness. And when one experiences that happiness, then one can forget sense gratification. So it's not that when we become perfect, we have to share Krishna consciousness. Rather, whatever we are, whatever level we are in it, actually it's very important that we also share in Krishna consciousness. So I will again read this very nice purport. One should cultivate association with those who are more advanced than oneself in devotion service. One's advancement can be measured by one's detachment from sense gratification and his ability to distribute Krishna consciousness to others. So one should associate with those who are more advanced than us. One should not associate with materialistic person, or one should not associate with those who are attached to sense gratification. One should associate with those who are better than us, so that we can also become better devotees. Shri Narottam Das Thakur has said, Chadiya Vaishnav Seva Nistare Payache Kyave. Who can attain salvation if he gives up the service of Vaishnavas? By serving the lotus feet of pure devotees, one is immediately enlightened with spiritual knowledge. All of the so-called pleasures of material world, culminating in many varieties of sexual fantasy and impersonal visions of oneself as God, becomes useless to one who has achieved the mercy of lotus feet of pure devotee of Krishna. Entire material creation is compared to insignificant bubble in the ocean. The material universe rests on the spiritual potency of Lord called Brahmajyoti, just as insignificant bubble rests on the potency of unlimited ocean. So here, by serving the lotus feet of pure devotee, one can enter the ocean of eternal happiness and experience his constitutional position as servant of Krishna. The mercy of Vaishnavas is unlimited, and one who has tasted that mercy becomes mad after the lotus feet of Krishna, not caring for the hallucination of so-called material pleasures or mental speculation. So mercy of Vaishnava is unlimited, just like mercy of Krishna is unlimited. And by mercy of Vaishnavas, one can get, one engages in Krishna service, and one can also get taste, and one becomes mad. And when one becomes mad for Krishna, one forgets all material pleasures. So further here, one important mention is there. One cannot be liberated without association with pure devotee of Lord. And unless one shows mercy to those in an inferior position, one's life will be superficial. It is our practical experience in Krishna movement that those who are expanding their mercy by preaching the message of Krishna are making rapid spiritual progress. So if we preach, we can make rapid spiritual progress. And their life is filled with transcendent bliss. Those who neglect the quality of mercy, being uninterested in missionary activities of Krishna conscious movement, are not filled with transcendent pleasure, as described here by the word Puryate. So if you preach, one can get transcendent pleasure. But if you neglect sharing Krishna consciousness with others, then one cannot experience that bliss. Not being filled with spiritual pleasure, surely such persons attempt to fill their lives with material pleasure through sense gratification, mental speculation, or sitting with women, or reading innumerable mundane novels, newspaper, news magazine, and so on. According to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the preaching activities of Krishna consciousness movement are Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam, the ever-increasing ocean of bliss. Missionary activities are based on the principle of Dayam, or the mercy of those who are fallen. Those who are actually preaching become enlivened by associating with other preachers. This principle is called Maitri, or friendship among equals. The power to carry out such preaching activities as well as proper guidance for distributing Krishna's mercy comes through the principle of Prashrayam, or humble service at lotus feet of spiritual authorities such as spiritual master. If one preaches Krishna consciousness sincerely under guidance of bona fide spiritual master and in the company of fellow preachers, one is perfectly fulfilling the statement of this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. So it said one should preach the message of Krishna under superior guidance in association of other devotees. Then it is a very blissful experience. But if one is not engaging in sharing Krishna consciousness, one may associate your mind, and mind can degrade us. But when we share Krishna with others, we can see how Krishna is very powerful, and how it's very, even anybody, no matter what background they are coming from, they can actually get transformed. And seeing transformation in others' life, we develop that faith, we develop that, we also get great joy, and we can experience, as here it is said, Anandam Buddhi Vartanam. So here question is asked by Nimi Maharaj that how a foolish person, materialist person can be free from Maya, and Prabhupada is saying that yes, such a person cannot be free by Maya on his own, he will continue suffering. Only when we take shelter of bona fide spiritual master and then learn the process of devotional service and serves Lord faithfully without duplicity, positively cultivating association of spiritual master and saintly devotees, and dealing with everyone appropriately. Dealing with everyone appropriately means showing mercy to juniors, means sharing Krishna with others, having friendly relationship with equals, and serving superiors without envy. In this way, one executes devotional service, one can transcend Maya, and one can attain to the kingdom of God. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If anybody has any comment or any question, we can take and then go for prasadam. Okay. Yes. हिंदी में बोलना है तो हिंदी में बोल सकते हैं. और ऑफिशियल क्लासेस और जिसको प्रसाद के लिए जाना है प्रसाद के लिए जा सकते हैं. ओके.
So Mataji is asking that as you say that you should have multiple plans on the younger and friendly relation with the same age and respectful to the elder. So similarly, Mataji had came with an association with a senior Mataji who helped her a lot to come to Krishna consciousness. But later on, the senior Mataji got offended by his Mataji. So how she can rebuild the relationship so that she can forgive her?
Generally, devotees are merciful, and especially seniors are merciful, and especially those who bring us in Krishna consciousness, they're more affectionate to us. So if we humble ourselves and go and bow down to them, offer obeisance to them, and beg forgiveness, they will forgive. And if there is some misunderstanding, we can try to clarify that. We can ask what was that made them feel offended, and if there was some mistake from our side, we can accept that mistake, rectify that mistakes, and work out the things. And things are still not working, then we can take help of another senior devotee who can help us to sort out that things, and in that way one can move ahead in life. So one should not take others' offenses, and if we have offended someone, we should beg forgiveness, and in that way generally devotees are very merciful. If we humble ourselves and beg forgiveness, they will forgive, they will not, and if still they are not forgiving, then we can do some seva, because service is such a thing that service can transform the heart of person, and person's heart melts when we humbly serve other person. In the beginning, one may be reluctant to forgive, but when one renders service, the heart will open up and person will forgive. Does that make any sense? Does that answer your question to some way? But Krishna is very merciful, as here it is said. Krishna is unlimited merciful, and devotees are also unlimitedly merciful. So we can expect them to be merciful. Okay? Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.